US President Donald Trump has told Russia to get moving to end the senseless war with Ukraine. This is after US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump's post came just before Witkoff's meeting with Putin at the presidential library. He said that thousands of people were dying in a war that should have never happened. The US Special Envoy flew to Russia for talks with Putin about the peace deal on Ukraine. A statement issued by the Kremlin said that Witkoff suggested a one-on-one meeting between Trump and Putin. Witkoff spent 4 hours in a hotel in Russia's St. Petersburg and was seen leaving in the company of Putin's investment envoy, Kirill Dmitriev. Before the meeting, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov played down the talks, saying that no major breakthrough was expected. Following the meeting, the Kremlin said that the talks focused on various aspects of the Ukrainian settlement without elaborating further. Now, according to reports, Witkoff conveyed to President Trump a proposal to give Russia ownership of 4 occupied Ukrainian regions. After the meeting, he added that this would be the fastest way to achieve a ceasefire. The development comes as Putin has previously said that he seeks control of the 4 Ukrainian regions despite not fully controlling them. So far, there is no comment from Washington on the said proposal by Steve Witkoff. As of today, Russia controls significant portions of eastern and southern Ukraine. These areas encompass the entirety of Crimea, large swathes of Donetsk and Luhansk, and parts of Zaporizhia and Kherson. The ongoing Russian advances indicate efforts to expand control, particularly in Donetsk and Luhansk, aligning with their main efforts to capture these regions fully. President Trump has pushed for a broad rapprochement with Moscow, which has yielded some results. Previously, Russia freed dual US-Russian ballet dancer Ksenia Karelina from prison in exchange of suspected tech smuggler Arthur Petrov, the second exchange between Moscow and Washington in less than 2 months.
We discussed this with the President of the United States, President Trump. Ukraine is not just asking, we are ready to purchase these additional systems. Only powerful weapons can truly be relied upon to protect life when you have a neighbor like Russia, so that Ukrainian children can study safely, simply in schools, not online but in person, in a normal way, like in America, like across Europe, and not in such underground classrooms, which may provide greater safety, but which should not be the norm anywhere, but simply in schools.
In a separate address, President Zelensky also urged allies to make progress on a possible military deployment, calling it a guarantee force. Zelensky said that the force would act as a deterrent against future Russian attacks after a halt in fighting. Trump has been pressing Moscow and Kiev to agree to a ceasefire deal, but so far has failed to extract any major concessions from the Kremlin. The US leader told NBC News last month he was very angry with his Russian counterpart, Putin. Dr. Avner Cohen is a professor of non-proliferation and terrorism studies, Middlebury Institute. Professor Cohen is now joining us from Monterey, California. Professor Cohen, good to see you, and thank you very much for making time for us today. U.S. Envoy Witkoff has proposed giving Russia ownership of Ukrainian regions. He says this will enhance the peace talks. I want to know from you what you think about this proposal, first of all.
Well, first, the proposal has not been confirmed. It was reporting by Reuters. The details are unclear. There was a reference to the 4 regions, to the 4 districts of Ukraine that were shown on the map before. Some of them are occupied fully by Russia, some of them very partially, and obviously Ukraine would object. Also, apparently, so it's not clear to what extent it was fully proposed, to what extent Ukraine agreed to that. And indeed, it's not even clear to what extent there is a full American solid proposal. There is another envoy to Ukraine, former General Keith Kellogg, who is more pro-Ukrainian, and his views are apparently a little different. He said that that kind of proposals would not fly. So apparently, the effort to establish some basic condition for a ceasefire and to save time and to create space to which the so-called the peace agreement negotiation could take place and ultimately finalize are not that easily gone. And Trump started his presidency by promising that within a day he could make it peace. This is not the case. Mm-hmm. So it seems like a probe, but how far it would go, it's difficult to say.
So what do you think about the talks or this proposal being made by Steve Witkoff that says that both Putin and Trump may meet face-to-face or may meet physically? We know and we've heard from both leaders, they've spoken before on phone, but no concrete meeting has been set yet. What do you think about that perceived meeting?
Well, it appears clearly that such a meeting could be held only after there is agreed upon understanding about the terms of the at least ceasefire. I'm not speaking about the peace terms, but ceasefire. And it appears that there is still negotiations and there is no agreement. Ukraine had to agree. I don't believe that Ukraine would agree to that kind of terms. The European supports Ukraine's. The American position is not that clear, and that's the reason why President Trump appears somewhat without patience, and that's explained also why the meeting that was supposed to be held possibly even 2 weeks ago is still being unscheduled. It's still being up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Professor Cohen, finally and very quickly, President Zelensky says that he wants a guarantee force, and this force would act as a deterrent against future Russian attacks. What do you make of this request by President Zelensky?
Well, there are serious talk about European powers that would station possibly forces, significant forces, in the Western Ukraine. I believe the British, the French, possibly the Germans are more hesitant as of now, and possibly others in Europe are ready to commit. And that's also part of, you need to have some Russian agreement. It wouldn't be NATO. It would be a European force outside NATO. It seems that for Ukraine, it's a necessary, but that issue has not been settled. Mm-hmm. Also, the whole deal with the United States about the rare minerals, the deal that led to the explosion with the Zelensky meeting in Washington a few weeks ago, it's also still in the air. It has not been resolved. So there are many, many moving parts yet. And that's the reason why it was maybe a good talk, 4 hours in St. Petersburg, but we are far from even agreement for a ceasefire as of now.
Professor Avner Cohen, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
My pleasure.